Hey there people, it's me Nightsimmer and this is the speed build for my new Rags to Riches house. The last part of it, if you haven't watched it, I'll give you a little explanation. I basically spent the whole episode saving up trying to get some money just to give me the extra bit that I would get on top of selling my old house, because obviously you can't expand a house if you use the exact same amount of money it is worth on it. So my goal here was, because she's getting on, like she's getting older, I want her to have a kid, so I needed a second bedroom. That is my main motivation for rebuilding a whole house. So that is what I've done. I managed to get a 2-bedroom house out of it. I actually, in the end, ended up with, I realised I had some of her flowers in my inventory and I sold them. And I ended up having to like try and get rid of the money, because in my head, yeah, I've built it on the same lot, but she's actually like, she's moved to this house, okay? Like she's moved. Same lot, but she's moved. Because I really wanted to like get my money down, so I had my house upgraded, but it's my Rags to Riches series. And it wasn't starting to feel like much of a struggle anymore. Like I had the necessities, you know what I mean? But like I wanted to struggle. So I've built a bigger house for myself. And hopefully my bills are more expensive, and basically I made it a bit ugly and a bit not her style, because in my head I was like, okay, so she's going to use like the money that she earns eventually to ignore this foundation. I get rid of it. I decide I did not like the house and the foundation, but yeah, I wanted her to have this house be a work in progress for her, so like something for her to work on, and that's what it was. That roof, I know the house looks very boxy. I promise I try and make up for it by adding like different like little sections to the garden and stuff, because she's a gardener. That's like her main thing. That's how we get most of our money. She's a gardener. And so I really want this extravagant garden. I want a greenhouse, which gets put in at the very end. I didn't think I'd be able to afford it, and then in my attempt to get rid of this extra money I'd accumulated, I managed to do it. And I believe I got her down to like 200 simoleons. I did forget a bin and a mailbox. I will have to put those on in the next episode of it. Hopefully I can afford them. I do believe I also have this new mod that has now messed up both of my Let's Plays. I need to take her to the doctor because she's ill. And in my cottage living Let's Play, I think my sim's going to die. I'm going to be really honest. I think I'm going to have to take the mod out if she dies, because she's my main Let's Play sim. I can't have her die. So yeah, that's my problem that's going on there. In this one, she's just sick. I'm hoping it's not serious. In the other one, it has told me it's a serious disease, so I'm a little bit worried. But it hasn't told me hers is serious yet. It's just advised that I go to the doctor, so I will do that one. And this actual house plan, floor plan, is adapted from a real life one I found, because this is, believe it or not, my 3rd time filming this speed build that I was doing. I built 2 other houses, hated them, deleted them, and was like, I'm just going to look up a floor plan, get some inspiration. Obviously I adapted it because there was stuff that you have in a real life house that you don't need in a Sims house, and that's where that went with that one. But if you want a little backstory on my Rags to Riches sim, her name is Marie Whitmore, currently Rico, though I think it's going to go back to Whitmore soon, because her new husband that she literally married 2 parts ago is having second thoughts about us. So I might just run with that and have him leave us, or we'll leave him. We're a strong independent woman, change our name back. But yeah, she's Marie Whitmore, she's a gardener. We have 2 cats, Cookie and Precious. They have just had 2 babies, Chubbs and Herman, I think their names are. I need to work out which kitten I'm going to keep, because I am going to keep one of these 2 kittens that they have just had. But yeah, that is where the current Let's Play is going. My next goal is I want her to have a kid, but with the marriage troubles that are going on, I'm not sure where that's going to come from it. I might do a bit of a like word of warning, like, oh, don't try and have a kid to save the marriage. I don't know. I literally don't know. This is where I really start to vibe with the house, when I start adding cottage living stuff, because I haven't had a chance to build with it yet, because in my Let's Play I just sort of moved into a pre-existing house and then like edited it, kind of. Like I just added an extra room because I had Play with Two Sisters on that Let's Play, but I won't talk about that one too much here because that is not what this house is for. But yeah, once I started to like get the vibe of where I was going, I do end up giving it a thatched roof. You've probably seen that in the thumbnail. Once I like reached the vibe and I knew where I was going a bit more, I really started to like fall in love with the house. So that is what is happening here. I'm trying to just make the house look a bit more how I wanted. I did struggle a bit with window placement. I always struggle with window placement. I don't get how people can just be like, window there, and it looks so nice. And I think I did also do myself in a bit by having such a boxy house. But I tried to do more extravagant houses and I was running out of money, and it was just I gave up, and I was like, you know what, she lives in a 1-floor cottage. And that's what it's going to be. And then obviously all of this space around, she ends up with a gorgeous garden. Well, what is existing. I plan to expand the garden even more because I want to. And I think there is room to adapt this house to a second floor later down the line if needs be. Because actually where the bathroom is where on the original floor plan there were stairs. I didn't have a floor plan for an upstairs, and I didn't have the money for an upstairs, so I just changed it into a bathroom, edited some stuff, added a study because the husband is a fashion designer or something. And he had a computer in the inventory. I literally had no idea, but I had like an all-in-one there it is, look. All-in-one PC in the inventory. Those are all our plants. I kept very few stuff from the old house just because obviously in my head I was like, they're moving out. So they've come in and it's like got the old furniture in it and stuff, minus like the bed. They like got her old used bed. We've gone backwards basically. We've got all the used furniture and like some ugly sofas that aren't that ugly, but like not my preference. This is me trying to fix the boxiness by adding just this random little deck just to add some level to the garden, I guess. And I plant the plants there. When I get into game, I think I might switch those around because some of those plants are out of season, and so I'll put them in the greenhouse and hopefully they grow. Those are my roses, my lovely money-making roses. But here I am just trying to make the garden look more interesting, and I do develop it as it goes on. Just sort of trying to scatter her plants around rather than having them all like shoved in one place. I believe those might have been snapdragons or grapes or something. I think they were grapes. I think these are snapdragons that I'm about to plant in a minute. These are the new things. I still have not worked out how to make these things blend into the garden. I still am not happy. I still am not sure if I am 100% happy with where they ended up. But it is how it goes. You will see me trying a lot of stuff here. I believe I'm getting better on my building. I like to think so anyway. My landscaping still needs work, I think. Yeah, I think it still needs work because I hardly ever landscape. I think it really leaves my lots looking bare though, so that's why I want to learn how to do it. Here I am just adding like, that is where the planters end up. Here I am just adding like markers to myself, like in my head I'm like, oh, in the future I will add like the patio here, which is what those stones are. Boxing in the little I really like this thing of making little garden beds for just plants that are like individual outside the house. There's the used bed. Placing placing the bed not under the window for once, which is great. And in my head I was like, okay, so we can only afford like cheap stuff. So it's a wet room. Maybe one day they'll convert it into a proper bathroom, like a bathtub and an actual shower. But at the minute it's a wet room, and here's where the little kitchen goes. This is like kitchen. You can put a dining table in there. I filled up a lot of the space with cat stuff, so it isn't as filled up as I would like it to be. As filled up, it is a bit more crowded than I would like it to be, but obviously when it gets renovated, as my Rags to Riches series goes on, I will leave a link to that down below or pop up a little card now if you want to see that. But yeah, feel free to come along, check it out, see where this house ends up, what it ends up looking like properly renovated. Because I wanted to give it sort of like a little bit of an outdated feel, because Marie is like, she likes the classic stuff, but like she wants it updated. Do you know what I mean? Like, she has good taste. Not that I think this looks bad, but it doesn't feel like her vibe. Here's the little study, just adding in his work stuff, and here are the photos, one of the few items I kept with me. I think eventually I want that wall to just be a full-on like photo wall. Currently I just have a couple cat photos. So here you go, putting in blank walls, because I was like, oh, you know, it's just been like painted white again to like try and appeal to the buyers, but then it's got the outdated kitchen and stuff, and it needs like the appliances fixing and that. Here is where I add in the cat stuff. I very nearly forgot that I had animals. The litter tray is in the living room. That will eventually change, probably when the bathroom gets updated. And here is me squeezing in the little dining table. But yeah, it's quite a cozy, I think I'll call it, little house. In my head, I can see what I want to do with it. That front room is the kids' bedroom. It stays empty. Don't expect to see me decorate that one. I don't. But yeah, see, I've got the sofas facing that way, and there's no TV. And in my head, I was like, maybe she'll like modernise it, and she'll put a TV in and stuff. And she'll just improve on the actual like feng shui of the house, because it does feel a bit. It's cozy, but like barren. You know what I mean? Like it lacks personality. Currently, like it lacks her personality. This is where I make the mistake of selling everything and realising I have like 5,000 thing because my magic roses. That if you didn't know, get me 80 simoleons per rose. So here I'm like, oh, okay, so I can afford walls, I can afford like this. I'm extending the patio. I'm desperately trying to spend money to get the money down. And this is where the landscaping begins. I find these cute little, what are they called? Cedar trees? Is that what they were called? But I add them just to add some greenery, because it is a massive lot. And in my head, I think this side of the lot is going to be less so used, and then the other side is going to be more the garden. This be a bit more of a natural side of the garden, because it is a massive like property of lot. And you're going to see my like dodgy landscaping here. Sorry about that one. I think I like how it ended up in the end. I thought it looked nice. Obviously personal opinions, maybe you don't think it looks nice, but I'm proud of it. But just some simple stuff. The terrain paint is really where I'm like, I get so lost. Like, I forget what I'm doing and all of that stuff. But I try and make it look nice. I'm like, oh, maybe like the grass has stopped growing around here. And I add in some like fir trees or something later. And I like purposely put mud down all the way under, because I'm like, well, the sun's not reaching it, so it's not going to grow. And I put down the scratch dirt, because I'm like, well, the grass isn't going to be like as nice and bright and green. Because I really, as I carried on building, the bright green of this lot really started to bother me, like really bad. Don't worry about that front, I fixed that in a minute. I know that looked ugly. But yeah, the bright green of the lot was really starting to bother me for some reason. Oh, this was another thing, but we're not even going to talk about it. Ignore what just happened. Because I really wanted it to feel more natural, and it wasn't feeling like that. Albeit I do have shaders, it's not actually that bright green, but I wanted it to feel more natural, and I was struggling to get it to feel that way. That's why I had the plants here. I'm just like, I want more greenery and like nature. That is very primmed, like that's been planted, that's not nature. But yeah, so desperately trying, adding a little gravel path. I wanted a swiggly one. I don't like how the swiggly one ends up. I do just end up using that other swatch and doing a straight path. Though I think I will use that to eventually create more wobbly paths around the garden rather than just straight up patioing it all. Here are where the massive trees come in, because I wanted the trees to also look like they belonged in the world. You know, like I didn't want them to look really out of place. So this is where it comes in. Here's my massive trees. And some of the grass. And we're actually just coming up to the end of this video now. There's about a minute left. And I've already told you about this part where my thought process was. So you will just see me do this. Add the little bits of dirt. I might add some flowers as well. I might scatter them. I don't really remember. We will give it a second and see if I do. Nope, I don't. So I'm looking around and then I'm like, oh, I go to add those. And I'm like, oh, wait, greenhouse. Main thing I wanted, I can now afford it. And that's where the massive greenhouse comes in. I always get confused on how to build greenhouses, but I think the one I did looked cute. I leave the back wall like brick still. In my head it's more of a like, maybe a converted building, like shed rather than greenhouse, which is why it looks like that. But I leave the back wall because maybe I can get flowers stuff or something. But yeah, I will leave you at the end of this. There's not much left. So I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!